How's it going, everyone? This is episode 19 of Mail and Hobby Talk. We got a lot of topics to cover today. We're going to be talking about the disaster that is 2024 Topps Chrome basketball. We're going to be talking about CT scanning of card packs and boxes. We're going to be going over a thread over on the hobby boards, and of course, we're going to be looking at recent mail. We're just going to go ahead and jump right into the Topps Chrome topic. It's been on my mind the past couple days. Those of you who follow me on Instagram have probably seen multiple posts about this. Now, why do I believe this was a disaster? Well, initially, when Topps announced this Chrome release, they showed us this card, essentially. This Victor Wembanyama. This is unlicensed product. The whole thing's going to be unlicensed, but it made sense for them to include Wembanyama because he has signed an exclusive autograph contract with them. So they're able to get his autograph out into product, which makes sense. They want to bring back Topps Chrome. They want to have Wembanyama really drive the product because they have him under contract. So I get it, you know. And this card, honestly, it's not too terrible. The design is decent. But just a couple days ago, we were shown the rest of the product. And we're going to look over on this page, because I'll talk about inserts here in a little bit, but what really got me was these base cards, okay? And now, if you've seen my Instagram story posts over the last couple days, you may already be familiar with my stance on this, but we'll go over it again. And I did just show this. This is 0607 Carmelo Anthony Topps Chrome card. Now, what was so great about Topps Chrome, at least in my opinion, and a lot of other people hold this belief as well, was the photography. Just really great photography. A lot of times it was like more minimal design, but the photography is really what made it stand out. And then we get this. This looks like a mashup of Finest and Panini Prism. That's what it looks like. And it looks like, honestly, it looks like some AI designed it. I mean, this is not Topps Chrome, in my opinion. A lot of other people have that belief as well, because I got a lot of people sharing this, which I really appreciate. We had a couple of people like photoshopping what this could have looked like. So here's one from South Park Cards where he has this mock-up. I believe this is from the 2023 Chrome baseball design. Just an action shot. I mean, there's no branding showing. They could probably cover up if they were worried about that Clippers logo there. They could probably cover that up a little bit. I don't know what the reason was for this, but it just seems like laziness. To me, it doesn't seem like it's bringing back the legacy of Chrome. And now I wanted to go back to this page and scroll up here. And I was reading over this. This is like apparently the history of Topps Chrome basketball and how it's so great. And interesting part to me, for the collector, okay, nostalgia factor is strong. Sure, we were all kind of excited to see what the base card would look like because inserts are great and all, but they weren't like the main thing that drove Chrome to be iconic, in my opinion. Again, it was like the photography. And they're saying, given the high demand and potential for valuable cards, it's also attractive to investors. So, I mean, they're basically saying that nostalgia is why they're bringing this back, but they're throwing in, you know, hey, these cards are going to be worth money. And that's really their stance nowadays. And it's disappointing to me. It's not about bringing back what the essence of Chrome is, in my opinion. So if we look up here as well, we can see, you know, 96 Chrome. That was the first Chrome release. It had perfect mix, low print run, the perfect rookie class, which is pretty much what drove that 96 Chrome release. You had Kobe, you had Ray Allen, among others in that 96 release. And the other part that was interesting to me is if we just go up a little bit, it said this groundbreaking technology, chromium stock, and the introduction of refractors. No. 96, 97 did not introduce refractors. That was introduced in 93 and Topps Finest. And there may have even been examples around that time period as well in other products. But let's go ahead, and I just wanted to show you some examples of Finest and Chrome, and then you can decide for yourself, what is this new product? What are they trying to drive here? So we're going to go ahead and switch over to the camera here. Finest and Chrome rookie cards. I think I've even shown this binder off before. But yeah, here's 93 finest, okay? And as you can see here, these were like cropped player photos with some kind of like unique background design, right? We go into 94, it's kind of the same thing. Cropped player photos and a kind of noisy background design. Same thing with 95. But then we get into Topps Chrome 1996. So here's a bunch of cards from that release. And what do you notice here that makes these stand out? Well, in my opinion, it's the photography. So you can see here, great action shot basically is focusing on the great photography that they put into these sets. And you can go all down the line. This is 97, 98 of another bunch of examples of great photography on the cards, 98, 99, etc., etc. I mean, it goes out into even the later releases. And sorry for this ring of light. I'm trying to figure out the best way to show like binders on here, and this obviously is not it. But as you can see, that's what Topps Chrome was all about. It was about great photography. And this newest release, I just don't feel does that. It doesn't provide that in-game photography that we all knew and loved. And I want to show you another example here from Frank AZHP Collectibles. He did just a quick mock-up of what this could be, what this could look like. And you're not showing logos in this photo. And it's a great action shot. And it's more reminiscent of Topps Chrome in the past. That's really the biggest argument from me and others as to why this just really isn't Chrome. It's basically just, it looks like a cash grab. They put Wembanyama in the product so they can get autos in there and drive the product out, keep the price high, keep the interest high, but then they just kind of crap the bed on all this other stuff. Now, again, like I always come back to photography, right? And to me, even these inserts here, they're just guys dribbling or like holding a ball. Now I get it for like Chris Paul, finesse, you know, he's a point guard, he's dribbling, that's what he does a lot of the time. But it's like sudden impact with LaMelo Ball just holding the ball, Jason Tatum holding the ball, you know, this Cam Whitmore, I mean, I guess it's okay, but come on, you can do better than this. And hopefully this outcry from the community wakes fanatics up, wakes Topps up, and maybe they come out with something that's a little better by the time they actually acquire the license. I highly doubt it because I think they're more motivated about selling as much product as they can to recoup the ridiculous cost that they bought in all these licenses for, but is what it is. We'll see if it makes a difference. But to me, this is just not something I'm interested in picking up at all. All right, so let's go ahead and jump over to some mail. And I'm going to start with vintage non-sports. So usually I start with like basketball because that's mostly what I collect. But nowadays I'm actually going after a lot more vintage non-sports. And you've seen it in a couple of my last mail and hobby talks. I did pick up another set here of the Liebig composers. I believe this is from late 1800s. I do have now like 3 sets of these, and they did release these in various different countries. So let's see, I'm not quite sure which this was. This one might have been the French release, but they did come out in Germany and then other countries as well. I just think they're great cards, and you can still get like a full set of these for fairly cheap. Next up, I got a bunch of these 1888 Kenny Brothers Leaders of Men card. I'm trying to go after this set. It's actually a fairly obtainable set in the fact that I believe it's about 25 cards. I think I'm about halfway through it, but I picked up this Napoleon. I've got Empress Eugene, I believe, sure how you pronounce that, Lafayette, General. We got George Washington. This is the more narrow version, I believe. Some of these are wide, as you can tell, like the card behind it, that's the wide version. This is the narrow version. Louisa of Germany and Mimi Berkamer. I don't know if I'm butchering these names, I apologize. Next up, we've got these Churchard. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that, but these are from chocolates, actually. So you can see chocolate Churchard, and I've been putting what these are on the back here. So it's 1898 release. And these are different composers. So we did have Schubert, Meyerbeer, we have Liszt, we have Strauss. But yeah, just these are pretty cool cards. I like these just for the design aspect of them. And again, these did come out of like chocolate packs, essentially. So it was around the time the tobacco cards were popular, but various like chocolate manufacturers did end up making card sets as well to then sell their product a little easier or just get the word out there advertising wise. And next up, 1901 or early 1900 Ogdens, and these were issued in cigarette packs. We got Beethoven, Mozart, and I'm slowly kind of piecemealing that set. That's a very large set. It's like over 200 cards. I want to say it's around 250 cards. Okay, this is a pretty cool one. This is the Larkin Soap trade card from 1885. A lot of times companies would put out these trade cards just for advertising for their business. So this was J.D. Larkin and Co. soaps. Now I did put on here trimmed because yes, that is very much so trimmed. But, you know, I grabbed it for, I believe, under $10. I just thought it was cool to get that George Washington. A non-trim copy can go for, you know, significantly more. And we've got a bunch of Leaders of Men. Now, almost every one of my Mail and Hobby Talk videos, I have gone over these cards. This is the Royal Bingles Men and Women of History or Heroes of History. There's 2 series of this, totaling out 200 cards total. I'm actually down to needing only about 13, I believe now. So the pickups this week, or this is probably mail from the last 2 months actually. Admiral Farragut. We've got Jonathan Hale. We got P.T. Barnum, the Barnum and Bailey Circus, for those who are not familiar with him. And it is a little chomped up at the top. Got it for really cheap. It'll go into the binder for the set, but I might try to upgrade that in the future. Edward VII, is that right? Yeah, Edward VII. Been looking for Abraham Lincoln forever, and they usually go for quite significant price. I mean, you can see them in the couple $100 range. Randomly one night, you know, maybe a month or 2 ago, I think it was, I was just looking on eBay and I just thought, let me just look for Abraham Lincoln card. I can't even remember the search term. I found this guy in Italy who was not only selling this one, but the Washington as well for a very, very reasonable price. It was maybe 35 euro, which I don't know exactly what that translates to US, maybe around 40, 45 bucks. Now shipping was a bit high, threw him an offer and he accepted and sent these cards over. And I just don't think I could find them for that price showing up in like a US based auction. I don't know if it was the fact that it was an overseas auction. Maybe I just caught it randomly in a search when it first popped up. Yeah, really happy to add the Lincoln. And then this is now a second copy of the Washington. This one is a little bit creased, but I'm not going after condition as much for this set. Just trying to put it together. And somehow I ended up picking up 2 of these 1924 Ogdens, Leaders of Men, Abraham Lincoln cards, both created a 2. I thought that I didn't have this and then bid on the second copy maybe a couple of days later. Now, it's pretty interesting. You can see, like, condition-wise, I believe, like, the back of this one has a little stain there. And then this one was a little bit more, maybe the corners were worse. I don't do a lot of nitpicking of condition. I know a lot of people that grade vintage and stuff really look into condition. And condition is important. It's more important in vintage than modern, in my opinion. But these were just cool to get. I do pick these up when I see them graded. Now I've completed the full set raw, and it's just fun to pick them up for cheap when I can find them. And another set that I've been chasing is the N76 Duke Sons and Company, Duke Sons and Co. Great Americans. This is a really cool set. These actually can get a little bit pricey. So I've been going after more of the lesser known names and stuff like that. And then I've been going over copies that were maybe not met the size requirements. I don't believe this one's trimmed. It just didn't meet the minimum size requirement there. Same with this copy of Robert Fulton. So we have William H. Seward, have both a PSA 3 mark. I believe that's because somebody uses this as a checklist, which I thought was actually kind of cool. And then I have this authentic copy, and then we have Robert Fulton and authentic. And now this one, these are interesting because these are from advertisements. These aren't actually the actual cards that would have come out with cigarette packs. This actually came from advertising for the product. You'll see on the back that it's blank back. So they're less desirable, but they are, in fact, like basically the card itself without the advertising for the company on the bottom. These are all going to be like sheet cut cards, like hand cut cards, essentially. Abraham Lincoln has been one that I've wanted, but it goes for quite a bit. So in the interim, I just picked up this advertisement copy, if you want to call it that, I guess. And last up for vintage, we've got these two Liebig cards graded by SGC. We've got the 1890 Thomas Edison, really cool card. I think these both came from like ComC auctions, I want to say. And then we have this one from 1911 featuring the Wright brothers. Thought that one was pretty awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our next topic, which is CT scanning of card packs and boxes. And I'm just going to link to this video because this is a great video from Dan the Cardman. He goes over this in a lot of detail. Others, Rattle Pokemon, for example, has covered this as well. Essentially, what they're able to do now is use these CT scanning devices, like an X-ray device, to scan card packs and pretty accurately determine what cards are in that pack of cards or even the boxes of cards. It just, man, guys, I don't even know what to say about this that hasn't already been said. You may be familiar with it. If you're not, again, check out Dan's video. This is just scamming on a different level. We've seen so many scams in the sports card space over the years. It's just gotten worse and worse, though, since 2020 and the whole boom, you know, in my opinion. And there's just an evolution of that. Nowadays, we've got repacks, which I think are a total scam. Repacks are when you go out and you buy a bunch of cards to then put in a product, you know, quote unquote product, but it's a kind of a homemade product where you're selling the chance to win like a big chase card. Most of the time you get junk. This is just another step in the evolution of how this hobby has turned into greed and money focused so much that some of these packs, and I think this is maybe an example of like a Pokemon pack or something like that. Pokemon, sorry, I always pronounce it incorrectly. But the fact that somebody could buy in a really expensive pack, sometimes these packs can be hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then they can see what's in that pack. Is it worth opening? I'm going to pull out this big card and then I'm going to sell the rest on eBay or something. It really makes you worried about buying old product. When I first got back into the hobby, it's probably around the time that Panini took over. I had taken, you know, a good 10-year break during like the 2000s. So back when Panini took over in like the 2010s is when I got back into cards. And you could still buy like affordable wax from the 2000s, even like the 90s. I was buying Topps Chrome, I think like 97, 98 Topps Chrome boxes for under $100, easily under 100, probably more like 80 bucks or something like that. And that's really good. What got my interest back into Topps Chrome. But it's like, you know, there's so little of that now. And I'm not a sealed product collector. There's people out there that collect it. They should be a little bit scared for the value of their product if they're still holding sealed product after all these years, just because this is now available and it's more mainstream. Some have said this has existed for a long time, and I could maybe see that, but now it's going to be commercialized. There's now this company that is going to be able to scan these for you. I'm sure others are going to jump on board. It's a big mess. And it goes back to the fact, and I've spoke about this in other videos as well, this hobby of ours is unregulated. It's hard to in some aspects call it a hobby anymore, because you have hobbyists like myself and others that collect for fun. We like putting team sets together or full sets together, or, you know, like a refractor run or something like that. But then you have so many people focused on the money and the financial gain side of it that it's hard to really call that side of it a hobby anymore, because a hobby is supposed to be something that you do for fun. And this kind of stuff just really bothers me, because I don't know, it just takes the fun away from it. Constantly seeing like the next thing that's just a big money grab or a way to, I don't know, like trick people, or I don't know. I'll probably do a whole separate video on just my thoughts in general, the quote unquote hobby nowadays. Do what you wish with this. I just think it's a bad look for the hobby as a whole. I'm really disappointed to see it. But do check out Dan's video. He covers it in great detail and is really interesting to watch. All right, next up, we're going to be looking at basketball pickups. So to start off with, I've got this Reggie Jackson out of 23-24 Prism. Prism goals have been hard to go after just due to prices, so I've been going after Mojos. I've gone after Mojos since the introduction of Mojos back in 2014, I think it was. So I'll put those team sets together. If I can ever pick up the golds for cheaper, I will try for those as well. I picked up a big one for my 2017-18 Panini Essentials Platinum set chase. So I am going after the whole set of these Platinum. Platinum basically, it was just like it's this blue hollow foil. Jaylen Brown being a bigger one than I needed. I got that actually from Instagram user. I'm forgetting your handle. I apologize, but that was cool. I'm down to about 13, I believe. I'll throw up my checklist where I go over the ones that I need. If anybody does have any of those, please reach out to me. This is another Prism Mojo of Jalen Pickett. This being from 23-24 as well. I got this great auto of David Thompson from a recent Flawless release. This was 22-23. The red foil kind of works pretty well with that. It's surprising how cheap David Thompson autographs are, and he's, for such a great player that he was. He signed a lot though, so I guess it makes sense. This is it's a rookie card from Bowman Chrome 0506. That'll be going into the binder. I did pick up RJ Hampton NTRPA. This is one of the Dick's Sporting Good patches. You know, the non-associated patches were basically not player worn or game used at all. Got it for cheap though. I do pick up NTRPAs of Nuggets players when I can. So that one was cheap enough that I just went after it. Next up, we got 2014-15 Prism Gold. And this is the Gold Pulsar version. So they had the regular gold and the Gold Pulsar. I think Pulsars came out of retail. This is actually the second copy I have of this for read, but went it for cheap enough that I thought that was a cool pickup. And for golds, I am still going after Prism or Refractor golds of Optic. So last year I did end up putting the team set together, the championship year. But then this year I wanted to go after golds as well. And so when they show up and I can get them for a decent price, I do chase these as well. So I got Jamal Murray and Reggie Jackson so far from this year's Optic. I actually kind of prefer a lot of times the photography they use for Optic over Prism. I know Prism is probably more well known and that's probably why it sells for more, but some of the photography in Optic actually reminds me of Chrome. Speaking of Chrome again. Next up is this Aaron Gordon Prism Mojo out of 22-23 Prism. So going back and trying to finish off that team set as well. And this is a pretty nice one. This is an immaculate acetate jersey numbered patch there. Jamal Murray, 22-23 immaculate there. I don't heavily go after Flawless and immaculate or even NT patches much anymore just due to price. But I thought that one was cool and I won it for a pretty good price, I thought. Next up, we got this Ty Lawson. This one's a great one out of, I believe this is, yeah, 13-14 Pinnacle. So Pinnacle didn't last for very long, but I just thought that patch was awesome. This came from Instagram user, look at that patch. He had a little nice note for me. Thanks for getting me a deal on this card. I really do love that patch. I love any Nuggets cards with the logo patch. So if you do have any of those and looking to move them, reach out to me. I love picking those up. They're just fun. And we have a couple more Mojo cards, and these are, I believe, all out of 23. I'm sorry, they're all different years. That's interesting. It's funny because I thought these were actually all the same year, because if you look at the designs, they almost kind of mesh together, but they're all different years. So it looks like the DeAndre Jordan is 23, 24. We got the Bruce Brown, which is 22, 23. And we've got Torrey Craig from 2021. So, you know, again, going after those Mojos to complete those sets. And last but certainly not least is a package I got from my buddy Kyle, who you may all know is Wax Museum Podcast. He sent these to me for free. I really appreciate that. I wanted to give him a shout out. You can check out his YouTube channel, Wax Museum Podcast. He also has an audio podcast you probably are already familiar with, been doing that for years, is quickly approaching, I think, like episode 300, which is amazing. I bet you he's going to get there within the next few months. But yeah, this triple signature, Alex English, J.R. Smith, and Sonny Weems. And this is from 08-09 Ultimate. That was Weems' rookie year. Just a great card, numbered out of 10. I really, really appreciate that color if you're listening. That was just a great card. And he also threw in this Hoopla Plus. For those of you who aren't familiar with this, these were 99 2000, I believe. And they're like a fun chase. I haven't gone too heavily into this like team set, but I do have like a McDice and maybe one other player. So this is really awesome from him. I probably will start chasing that set as well. All right, and let's jump over to the hobby boards topic of this episode. And that comes from Abra Calabro over on the hobby boards, who always comes up with really great topics, in my opinion. He's asking, what are your favorite sets / products? And so he's a big fan of the Flair showcase releases of the late 90s. And so he's showing us a couple of those cards. I believe this is from, is this 96? But yeah, those are just great cards. I love those as well. And his next pick here is the 95-96 Upper Deck Electric Court Golds, which is a set that I know he chases. And so you can see it's the gold hollow foil here. There's regular Electric Court that are more regular, like a rainbow hollow foil, and then you have the golds, which actually are kind of hard to track down. I don't know the print run on them, but they were fairly low, at least for the time that these were released. And then we have some other sets that people have pointed out, like the 2000 Ultimate Collection, which had, let's see, they were Ultimate Victory, but I know there's different parallels that you could get out of that. But yeah, check out this thread. Some really cool sets that people have pointed out. This is Topps Treasure. I think that's 08-09. But yeah, I threw up some of mine as well. So I'm real partial to the Flair Legacy stuff. Just Flair Showcase in general. So I threw up some of my cards. Then we got like the initial Rubies set, which then turned into like Star Rubies, which everybody knows. But these 96, 97 parallels where they just had the red foil. You also had the 96, 97 Flair Ultra Platinum medallions. Now they also had gold medallions, and they had the base cards. Great photography in that set. And then of course the really expensive Star Rubies. At least they've become really expensive nowadays. But yeah, I just wanted to cover that topic. As always, head on over to the hobby boards, thehobbyboards.com. Get signed up. A lot of great collectors over there. Really interesting topics. It's just a fun time. Last up for mail, we got my PC players section, which is Gallinari and Gary Harris this week. We have some Gallinari cards to cover first. So we got 1718 Immaculate Acetate, and this is kind of similar to that Jamal Murray, and that is numbered up to the player's jersey number. That's when he was on the Clippers. And this one is from the newest optic. And so now he's on the Bucks, but he's actually in a Pistons jersey. But this is the green out of 5. And I think I got this for like $3 or something, which is crazy. It might have been like more like 4 or 5. Can't remember exactly what I got it for. Thought the photo choice there was pretty decent. even that's the mismatch of like being on a new team and having the old team's photo there. I still think it's kind of a cool card. So you see a couple other of these come up. This is 1415 Prism Mojo. So we were talking about Mojo. This is the first time that Mojo was released into Prism, or the parallel was released in Prism. And now these were non-numbered. So this year, I don't know if they had another variation or it was just the blue, but it was the first time that we saw the Mojo pattern. And then this is a Mojo from a later year, this being 21-22, when he was on the Hawks. And using the Mojo pattern, but not calling it Mojo, I believe these are a choice out of 8. It'd be cool to pick up the 8 out of 8. It wasn't actually numbered to like the player's jersey number, but I believe these choice black and gold, they're maybe called. But you can see it's like that same Mojo pattern. I don't know, it's disappointing Panini's used the Mojo pattern for so much stuff now. I just think it takes the uniqueness away. But regardless, that's a cool card. This is 13-14 Select. This is the blue, and these are out of 49. That would be going into the Gallinari binder. And then I've got some more of this year's Optic. This one being blue glitter, I think. I don't know. There's so many parallels. Again, I can't keep up with all of them. But I think this is like blue glitter or something. Now, it's numbered 8 out of 15, which is his jersey number, just not on the Bucks. So on the Bucks, he's number 12. But that is old jersey number, and actually would have been the jersey number for when he was playing with the Pistons. And I've got a gold here as well. These gold just, of course, being out of 10. This is a great pickup. Really excited about this one. This is 15-16 Flawless Patch. These are out of 20. I have several other copies of these as well. Just one of my favorite Nuggets patches of his. He didn't have a whole ton of like patches, and even fewer like patch autos in his playing days with the Nuggets. But I always found these Flawless to have pretty nice patches in general. All right, and so this is a Recon, and this actually he's featured in the Bucks jersey in this one. So this is from this last year, 23-24, and this is the gold variation out of 10. Pretty decent, like action shot, I guess you'd call it there. It would be cool to get a jersey number, one of these. Obviously, you're not going to get it out of the gold variation, but I'm on the lookout for those. I got another gold from this year's Optic. When you're getting this stuff for like $2, it's hard not to just throw in a $5 snipe bit. So, moving into Gary Harris, 17-18 patch autograph from Immaculate, and this is the gold version out of 10. I think that patch comes from a warm-up jersey, because they had a lot of warm-up jerseys for the Nuggets that year. I'm not entirely sure on that, but pretty sure that's a warm-up jersey. Next up, we got one I've been trying to actually win for quite a while. This is like the first year of the Panini 1-1, which are actually really great cards. Photography on these cards are pretty awesome. They all came in these sealed one touches. So yeah, that first year, 1920. The golds, I think a lot of people actually chase like a gold sets or just pick up gold. So even though it's Gary Harris and I usually get stuff for cheap, this is significantly more than I normally pay, which is fine because I just really like the shot. He's playing for the Nuggets at the time. Sealed in the one touch. This is 17-18 Optic. I didn't pick up a lot of 17-18 because I just thought the photography that year in Optic and in Prism and just everything else is kind of bland. I kind of regret because now I'm trying to go back and complete some of those team sets and they are not cheap. So, well, I wouldn't say that like Gary Harris is that expensive, but when you're looking at Jokic or Murray or any of the guys that still play, it's not cheap to pick those up nowadays compared to what it was at least. And this is 1920 NT. And I believe this is out of 10. Is that right? Yeah, you can see right there. This is gold foil on there. Gold parallel out of 10. Patch auto at the time on the Nuggets. And then this is a Magic card. So I do pick up, same with Gallinari. I'll still follow their careers just because I've been collecting both for so long. This is now a Magic autograph, and this is out of 22-23. And I do still pick up Gary Harris on the Magic, and is the green variation out of 5. Pretty nice auto there. A lot of times when he does the H in his autograph, it's kind of sloppy, so I thought that was good. You can clearly see the G and H. As always, if you stuck around to the end, I want to remind you to like and subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this. I do a lot of collector-focused content as well. But I do appreciate you watching this, and I will catch you on the next one.